Hello again. We are back. It is still the 26th day of October 2023. Now it's about quarter till 1 in the afternoon. Hi, how you doing? I'm hoping that this is not too glitchy, so I'm going to get the camera out of there for right now until I can start closing some of these things down. Let me just check and make sure we are recording. That's because I got a video going up right now on my game channel. I thought I would share with you a little bit of information that I found. I watched a press conference, and it was just fucking bizarre. But before we start off with that, let's start off with this. People have talked about, this guy trained Ukrainian Nazis and so forth and so on. He was some kind of badass. He was a badass. He pumped gas. Main shooting suspect is U.S. Army Reserve Petroleum Supply Specialist. He pumped gas. I looked up, what does a petroleum specialist do? A petroleum specialist will supply the Army with the fuel it needs to maintain a state of readiness at all times. He pumped gas, which explains why they'd burn him. He was useless to them. He's a gas station attendant. Not to demean jobs in the fucking military, but that's what he did. He wasn't some fucking badass killer. He'd never been deployed overseas. The person at the center of a police manhunt following mass shooting in Maine, Robert Card, is a petroleum supply specialist in the U.S. Army Reserve with more than 2 decades in the service and no prior overseas deployments, the Army said on Thursday. Card is a sergeant first class enlisted in December of 2002, the Army said. He has been in for 20 years, 23 years, going on almost 23 years. He is a sergeant first class. That is 6 ranks above fucking private. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there's sergeant first class. 23 years. He's only made it up 6 ranks. 7 ranks. I'm sorry, 7 ranks. So that'd be his first fucking promotion, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. 7 promotions in 23 fucking years. Now again, I don't know if that's super good or super slow or average for the reserves, but that's what he did. Okay? But again, according to this, he's not some badass running around training fucking Ukrainian Nazis how to kill Russians. He literally pumped gas for 23 years. 21 years, 23 years. 21 years. Okay? Let's just do that. We'll talk a little bit about this. I'm not going to show you any of it because it's going to be very glitchy. But I will tell you, when I watched this, I was just fucking amazed. First of all, the governor has to come out there and talk for 10 minutes. Saying nothing. Thank you this, thank you them, thank you Joe Biden. Oh, Joe Biden's wonderful. Oh, Joe Biden's administration's terrific. We're all heartbroken. I'm all upset. I'm all a tizzy, whatever the fuck she says. She's almost smirking in the middle of it, in the beginning of it. But she speaks for the first 10 minutes. Then in comes the mayor of Lewiston, who gives thanks. And then he hands it over to this officer, the chief of police, Daniel St. Pierre from Lewiston, who gives thanks. And then we get to this dude. He is the state police.
Call your doorbell camera company and cancel the subscription.
God, your mother.
This brand new subscription-free mini Wi-Fi
shit. Greedy motherfuckers trying to make a dime on this. Now, St. Pierre introduced him as the guy who was in charge of the investigation, but he goes, but we're both deeply involved in it. And he was giving thanks to all his people. And this is now 14 minutes. He starts talking about the specifics of what happened. 14 fucking minutes. The first 14 minutes of the press conference, everyone gets up there and acts as if they just won an Academy Award. I want to thank this person, and I want to thank the Academy, and I want to thank, this is what it means to me, and my heart is so aflutter. No one gives a shit. Supposedly, the person who killed 18 motherfuckers in your fucking, under your watch, is still at large. Do you think anyone gives a shit if you want to thank Joe Biden for a fucking phone call? You insipid morons. People are there to get information about the fucking maniac on the loose, right? And you people are talking about, you want to thank the Academy because you didn't think, you guys love me. You really, really love me. Then you got to mention everybody and their fucking mother in order to get their names in the paper. Did you see how I mentioned your name? What is wrong with you fucking people? No one gives a fuck if you're working well together in between the agencies. You're supposed to work well between the goddamn agencies. They want to know what's happening with a crazy person running around with a gun killing random folks, who, by the way, hasn't been caught yet, while, all these fucking officials are standing around waiting for their face time on camera. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Unless, of course, he's not really at large anymore. So our guy here, the only one who seems to give a shit about giving people information, gave us some doozies. First of all, he said that everybody's on lockdown, 3 different fucking areas: Lewiston, Lisbon, and Bowden. Now, I want to say this. I hope this is not glitchy. I'm going to try to keep this short. I want to say this. I saw an interview prior to this presser. There was another presser. If anybody can find it, please link down below in the comment section. It was an African-American officer outside on the street while cars drove by, going into, I think, the area to have the goddamn presser. And he, I think, was a Bowden police chief, but he was having a conversation, and he was having his own little press conference prior to the big press conference I just showed you. If you can find that, please let me know, because there's a very, 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 very interesting exchange between one reporter and him. And I will sum it up as best I can, even though I can't show it to you because I looked and looked and looked and I can't find it. And that conversation went something like this. He's answering questions. Cars are driven by. A big old fucking Suburban drives by, which is interesting. A big old Suburban drives by. And as, you know, those folks are like, enjoy using those things. And maybe that was our FBI agent. And a reporter asks him basically something to this fucking, to this end. He says, you know, we know that you found the vehicle in a heavily kind of wooded area But we also noticed that you've got the vehicle roped off and everything and a few officers there, but you're not conducting any kind of major search through the wooded area for the guy who's no longer in the vehicle who just killed 18 people and shot a few more, 13 more. Do you know something that we don't know about why that wouldn't be a valuable way of spending time and resources? Why wouldn't you be looking around where the vehicle was found on the road on Lisbon Avenue in the wooded area? And the guy was like, well, we did and then there's aerial stuff. There were no helicopters in the fucking air. And he said, okay, but apparently there was no search. And this reporter wanted to know, when they heard that they had found the vehicle and they all rushed to that location, there were some cops around the fucking vehicle, but there were no hundreds of flashlights moving through the fucking woods. There's a helicopter might have passed by once, but there's no fucking multiple helicopters with FLIR fucking things on them trying to find heat signatures in the goddamn... None of that happened. Why the fuck do you think... And then he said, well, there was talk about a Suburban. Do you think maybe he changed vehicles at that location? And is there a description of that car out there? There was talk of a Suburban as a Suburban drives past going into the fucking thing, probably carrying the FBI agent, who, by the way, looks like she's 25 years old and is literally a deer in the headlights during this interview, during this press conference. I swear to God, I'm not kidding. I told you it was fucking weird. I couldn't find that. If anybody can find that exchange, I think it's very interesting. We'll look at the maps in a second and you'll see what he's talking about. But there are two options. The vehicle ending up where it is, there's two options. He could have left by land or he could have left by sea. So let's go back to what the guy was saying. So the three towns that are basically locked down are Lewiston, Lisbon, and fucking Bowden. I don't know if they're still locked down or not. There are 18 dead, 13 injured. Here's the timeline. At exactly 6:56, the 911 call came for the spare time, whatever the bowling alley, that shooting 911, first 911 call came in at 6:56. Okay? At 7:08, the 911 call started coming in about the active shooter at the bar. What? That's 12 minutes. According to this individual here, 7 people were killed at the bowling alley. And then 12 minutes later, started shooting at 6:56. And then 12 minutes later, at 7:08, calls came in from the bar 6 miles away. 6 miles away. 12 minutes, 6 miles. At 60 miles an hour, you can travel a mile a minute. Guy was hauling ass just to get to that location. Are we talking about 2 different fucking people? Because the image I showed you today was of him going fully into the bowling alley. And you imagine as soon as he starts firing, somebody pulls out a fucking thing and calls the 911 while they're lying on the fucking ground. Now, it could be that nobody called 911 until the guy was 3 minutes gone, which doesn't make any sense, but who knows? But we'll have to assume that right after the shooting started, someone got down on the ground and started calling 911. So, somehow this guy killed 7 people, wounded several more in the fucking bowling alley, and then 12 minutes later was actually out of his car, out of the parking lot, into the fucking bar shooting people. 6 miles away. And nobody even bats an eye. Nobody even wonders. Are these 2 different people? Is there a reason somebody described the fucking car and then described the fucking Suburban? I don't know. Was a Suburban involved leaving one of the scenes? I don't know. It's very odd. The car was found. We'll take a look at the map now real quick. Okay, here we go. Here's 2 of the shootings. This up here is the bowling alley, and this down here is the bar. Interestingly enough, another thing this guy said was that 8 of the bodies had been identified. The rest had not. 3 people died in the hospital. 7 died at the spare time fucking bowling alley. And then 8 people died at the bar. That's a very odd statement. Who goes to a bar without ID? Who goes to a bowling alley without ID? Who goes anywhere without ID these days? Why are you having trouble identifying 10 out of the fucking 18 dead? How is that possible? It's very odd. Let's get back to this. So here's the shooting. Supposedly, dude shoots up the place here. Call comes in. 7 people are dead. 3 or 4 wounded at that location. And then he drives all the way down here, all the way down this road down to here, or this road, and then gets over to here. And this is the location of the bar. The shooting takes place here at the fucking bar, according to this map. And then, dude, if that's who did it, drives all the way down to, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this word. I will. Whatever, god damn it. What's it called? Project Scott boat landing. I know I got that wrong. I'm sorry. I hope anybody living there doesn't get pissed off at me. Okay, so it used to have that name someplace, but now it doesn't. Anyway, this is the address for the Project Scott fucking boat landing. I don't know if you can see it right here. I pulled it up, and that's what comes up. Oh, here you go. So basically a fucking trailer off the side of the road, which makes sense that they couldn't find if the car came up and parked, like say where this car's parked. You'd have a hard time finding it right off the bat. Did they have another car parked here? Was a Suburban parked here? Somebody in here said, hey, so-and-so came in here and jumped in a Suburban and took off. Or did someone hop in a fucking boat and take off up the river or down the river and make their escape that way, heading down the river they could have gotten to? Here it is. Project Scott. That's it right there. So that's where the car was found. Look at all the wooded areas here. You would imagine it would take quite a while with quite a lot of manpower, especially considering it's not that far from this, which is big place to fucking hide. Big place to fucking hide. There's no look. There's no searching. According to that reporter, and according to what the cop said, they're not searching there. Why not? You would think that would be the first thing they would do because that's where the car was. Lastly, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about how they manipulate, how they use things like this. They manage this kind of thing, whether it was done or by somebody, which is a nice distraction for what's happening in Israel right now, in Gaza. Whether it was done in that fashion or whether it was something that naturally happened, some guy just flipped out because he got tired of pumping gas and decided to kill people who had nothing to do with it for no fucking reason whatsoever. Who knows? Or should I roll my eyes? Either way, they always try to exploit any situation they can. Like all these websites I try to go to get news, and they all say, oh, you got to turn your ad blocker off so we can make the money off of this misery. So what do you do when you search? What happens when you pull up this guy's fucking name? The first thing that pops up is this. Now, I don't know about you, but that looks like a fucking face swap app. But there you go. That's him. This is, I'm not going to play it because I'll get copyright. Who cares? But there's no advertising, but they'll give me a strike if I play it. This guy. This guy says he's been a resident and lives right near Robert Card most of his life, right down the street, according to him. He also says that they lived on a compound and everyone knew to stay away from the whole family because they're gun nuts. And that's a quote. Well, fuck it. Who gives a shit?
And Liam, we understand that you grew up near Robert Card and his family. Can you tell us anything you know about the person of interest in these shootings?
Well, I grew up about half a mile away. Bowdoin is a very interesting community. There's kind of like a center hub near the school and the town store, excuse me. And then you have like West Bowdoin, but they all interconnect around the school and the town store, and I just happen to live near there. And the family complex, it's basically a compound. The family and Robert, they're all gun fanatics. They, for all intents and purposes, are very much associated with right-wing militias. It's known.
There you go. He's a militia member. So we got him. Now we're going to take out the militia member. Very interesting. That's the first thing that pops up. It doesn't matter anything else. Just making sure, Google helping doing their part to make sure that the idea of a gun nut is front and center. Lastly, we'll talk about this, and I mentioned her briefly. The FBI agent. Now look at all these people. This is the governor. This is ATF. This is the police chief, St. LaCroix, whatever his name is. And this, of course, is the head of the state police, or whoever's in charge of the state of this operation for the state police, and this is the mayor. Look at all these serious fuckers. When you have a situation like this, a mass casualty event, multiple fucking locations, this is not something that, it, of course, falls in the jurisdiction of the local police officer. State police take over, but then who is in charge of all of it? Well, the answer to that question would be the FBI. And this is the FBI agent who's going to come up there.
Hi, Mark Barden.
Oh, my fucking God, what is wrong with you people? How many goddamn ads do you have?
When the gunman shot his way into Sandy Hook Elementary School on December 14th, 2012.
Stop it. Here's the fucking FBI agent.
Thank you. My name is Joey Cohen. I'm the special agent in charge of FBI Boston Division, which covers the state of Maine. Our hearts go out to everyone who is impacted as a result of the senseless violence. The FBI is working hand in hand with our law enforcement partners. Our evidence response team is here processing these various.
And we are currently looking for Mr. Card right now.
That's nice to know. You're currently looking for.
In charge of FBI.
That is the person in charge of the whole thing. That. Deer in the headlights. 25, 26-year-old. FBI agent with no lips is in charge. Absolute deer in the headlights. I'm sorry. Am I being fucking demeaning? Am I being ageist because she's a child? Bring in a 12-year-old. Shit. Shouldn't be qualified. Hey, I watch, the MCU. It'll work to, it'll be good for the modern audiences. I have no idea what the fuck that is. Special agent in charge from the FBI comes over. She might be a very brilliant individual, but she doesn't give off an aura of confidence when it comes to, I don't know, trying to find some fucking mass murderer who's on the loose running through the fucking streets of Maine. Or in the back fucking creeks and rivers and lakes, however the escape took place. Something's odd. The first thing they would do when there was some evidence of either switching the car and the fucking press mentioned a goddamn Suburban. Who uses Suburbans? The press mentioned the fact that the reporter mentioned a Suburban was fucking seen. Why is there no fucking be on the lookout, BOLO, for the Suburban? They have the car. They've got, listen to me, they have the fucking vehicle. It's registered to him. He's the guy who they said is in the picture. They said, okay, everybody lock down. There should be 1,000 fucking people working their way inch by inch through those forests. But there's not. Why? Because the reporter was asking this very specific question. The guy jumped away and went to something else and forgot all about it. Asked a very specific question. Why not? Do you know something we should know about the whereabouts or his mode of escape from that point where he dropped his car off at that fucking boat landing? Why are there not 1,000 fucking people walking through the goddamn woods looking for the dude? Are they scared they'll find John Rambo? John Rambo, the fucking gas station attendant for the last 21 years? It doesn't make any sense. Of course you'd fucking search the goddamn woods. But they're not. But that's the end of the story. You're still on lockdown. They're still having press conferences. They're still standing around giving thanks to everybody for 14 fucking minutes. They got some whacked out 25-year-old girl in charge of the goddamn whole operation who looks like she's a deer in the headlights. She's in way over her head. And no one's looking in the fucking woods for that would be the likely location, the first place you'd start looking. Unless of course you knew he took off in another vehicle. Unless, of course, you knew he took off on a boat. Now, maybe you could argue that someone doesn't want to say, yeah, we know he was in a green Suburban and he took off because they don't want the shooter to know that they know he's in a green Suburban now. So maybe he'll stick with the green Suburban a little bit longer, long enough for them to fucking find him. Okay, possible. Possible. Not likely, but possible. But then again, they kept saying in the first 14 minutes in between all the thank yous, they kept harping on the fact that we need public support with this. If you see something, say something. Stay locked down, but if you see something, say something. Don't you think it would be advantageous if they told people not only in Maine, but also the surrounding states? Yeah, it's a green Suburban. Just in case the police don't see him before the fucking public does? Somebody driving down the road on a highway, getting passed by a green Suburban, being driven by a guy with a beard and mustache who looks like a gas station attendant? Don't you think that would be fucking advantageous for them to use all of the eyes and all of the attention they got to focus on finding either that vehicle, that car, even if it wasn't a Suburban, or a boat? There's all kinds of people at boat landings. A guy came down there and hopped on a fucking boat with a fucking duffel bag and his gun in it, looking like he did, and took off. Someone could have given a description of the fucking boat. Either way, I don't know. Again, I'm not law enforcement. And I don't want to be ageist. Maybe I am being ageist. Maybe a 25-year-old deer in the headlights fucking agent is exactly who you need in charge in a situation like this. I don't know. But it is, the whole thing was just bizarre when I watched. The whole thing was just bizarre. And then, of course, that guy saying, oh, my God, the whole family is like, gun nuts and they're militia. Somebody said in the comment section that, that's what you do is you find somebody, if you want to, set somebody up to be the patsy, you set up a militia guy, and he's the head of some militia you don't like. You can set him up and use him as your fucking patsy. That's possible. That's always possible. But, it seems really, they all seem very low key. They're giving the thanks and they're doing the thanks stuff that you see in these press conferences after the guy's dead or caught. I've never seen them all come out and spend 15 minutes thanking this person and that person and Joe Biden and the Biden administration and the governors of this state and the governor of that state and all the people. I've never seen them do that at a press conference while the dude was still on the fucking loose. Hi, are you rolling? Are you on? Are you all on? Great. The guy did this. The guy looks like this. The guy was last seen here. He's last seen going in this fucking direction. You got that? Now put that out there. We get a $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 reward. Get the motherfucker. He's armed and dangerous. Just call us. Don't do anything on your own. Now, good? Get out of here and go put that on the fucking air. Go put that in the fucking news. Get it out right fucking now. No, they didn't do that. Let's take 15 minutes to thank everybody and to name people who want to see their fucking names in the goddamn papers. What the fuck are you doing? And oh yeah, by the way, we got a child running this fucking investigation, this manhunt.